Hey guys, Max here with another YouTube video. In this video, I'm just going to be doing a double Masters draft. And I think this video, I'm only going to do one game or one match. I'm only going to record my commentary over one match since people don't seem to be watching those as much and they don't seem to care as much. I mean, personally, I wouldn't watch the matches that much either unless the deck was particularly sick, which they aren't always that sick. They're usually just more educational. But if you like all of the gameplay, or you don't like any of the gameplay, you think I should only do drafts, which I'm also happy to do, feel free to comment or DM me, and I will take that feedback into consideration. I would very much appreciate it. So let's get into this first draft. So we open a pack that I think are two very easy picks. There's a Maelstrom Nexus, which is kind of a cool rare, but I mean, it's just too hard to cast and too hard to splash, and if we really wanted to, probably wheel. Council Husband is just an insane removal spell. It gets around hexproof. It exiles. It just does everything you want it to do. Sometimes your opponents don't read the card correctly, and they randomly lose two other permanents. And then Conclave Naturalist is just an insane green card that it just does everything you want it to. I mean, Sarah Sphinx is a very powerful card, same as Sarah Angel, but just generic creature and removal spell decks don't really work in this format. You need to be doing things more powerful than that, more coherent. You can't just jam Sarah Angels in play and hope that they work out. In addition to that, blue is just the worst color by a lot, in my opinion, unless you get a bomb rare or bomb rares or whatever. So I think it's a pretty easy pick of these two. And then we'll get another pack. Oh, shit. Yeah, I hate skipping past. Okay, we open a new pack. And again, there's just Conclave Naturalists. I mean, again, Fatal Push is a very powerful card, but I think Conclave Naturalist is just too good. It's a 4/4 that blows up, almost always blows up something that the 2/4 your opponent. So 5 mana 4/4 with the removal spell attached is pretty absurd in a format where it always hits. Fatal Push is good. Cogwork Symbol is good, but it wheels a lot. So is Buried Ruin. Gremlins is great, but I think given that we opened with a Naturalist and a Judgment, I think the second Naturalist is just a little better. And it's also just, like, it's more generic. It's easily splashable. It's always good. Gremlin's only good if you get the right synergy cards. You need to get, like, Iron Leech Steeds and, yeah, as you can see, I'm highlighting those two to say they have nice synergy together. But, yeah, Gremlin's only good if you get, like, the Rapacious Dragons and the Steed. Whereas Naturalist is just always good. It's splashable. It's just always good. You almost always put it in your deck. And you're always pretty happy with it. My face doesn't look very bright. Is there anything I can do about that? I should get some lighting, maybe. Alright, well, I guess for now, you just have to deal with the fact that my face isn't very bright. Okay, so we open a new pack. We've got an Abrade, an Ovaltine Sherival, which again is good, but I don't like black as much as I do the other three colors. No white still, so I'm guessing white isn't very open. I'm probably gonna move off this Counter Judgment, but it has only been 3 packs, so we're not sure. I think Abrade's the most powerful card, so I just have to take that. But I could see taking a Bloodbriar here as well, since we're more likely to be in green than red. But I think Abrade's just too powerful to pass. Being able to blow up swords and all those other sorts of artifacts is really nice, and there's just not much else in the pack. Like if this was another Naturalist or even a Cosmic Predator, I'd probably take it over the Abrade. But given that they're all pretty mediocre and pretty replaceable, I think I like the Abrade the best. It's just the best card in the pack. Okay, pretty easy Vandal. Stirrings can be good, but usually Stirrings decks are very different than Conclave Naturalist decks. Since we already have 2 Naturalists, I'm not looking to take that Stirrings really. And Vandal's just always going to be, or not always, but it has the potential to be a very good card most of the time. I also do like Harpy this spring, but it always wheels. I mean, I only end up putting it in my deck like 20% of the time or whatever, but in that 20% of the time when you have like Gelatinous and a bunch of 8-drops that you want to cheat on turn 4, the card can be really, really good. I know it looks like trash, and the general rule is don't play effects that are symmetrical, that double your opponent's mana because they get to double their mana before you, but in this format you can because the decks are trying to do such different things, if that makes any sense. So if you're certain you can win a late game with your powerful bombs and you just don't want to get aggroed out, and you're sure your opponent can't use the mana as well as you can, then it's fine to play the card. And if you've Empath Tutor for your powerful 8-drops or whatever, so you can like ramp out a, I don't know, like a... You could, I mean, there's green cards. Avengers and a card, sure. That'll do it. That'll stabilize the board and also be an insane threat you want to ramp out. I don't know what else. If they're Gelatinous, that'll stabilize the board and just murder your opponent. Trash Dawn, that kind of stuff. I mean, and granted, these are all rares, but I get these a lot late, and that's how I move into green usually. It's just because I get these cards late. Skip ahead a little bit, and again, we missed the pick, of course. There's a Beacon of Unrest, which is actually a very powerful card, but given that we don't really want to be in black with the picks that we've opened, and that Predator is going to help us fill out our curve pretty nicely here, I think it's definitely the Predator. And even, again, it's also such a 5-drop, so even if I do end up in black, I'm probably going to be in green still, and then the Naturalist plus the Beacon is just a lot of 5-drops. And then the Beacon's worse than the Naturalist. The Beacon's only really good in the very, very late game when you can redraw it. Mid-game, it's just worse than most of the other 5-drops you can pick. In particular, it's worse than Naturalist. So I think it's an easy Predator there. But I'm very happy with that. That was a late Predator that we got there. So I'm thinking green's open, and I'm probably going to want to move into green. And then we'll decide between what our other color is going to be later. I'm a big fan of hedging in this format, in that I like just picking the most powerful card in most of your packs in pack 1. I try to stay away, as you've seen, I try to stay away from black and blue, But if there's a low opportunity cost blue or black pick, I will almost always take it so I can hedge. And the same is true here. I'm pretty sure green's open, but I don't want to lock in red yet, even though I did get a somewhat late Abrade and a decently late Vandal. But I don't want to lock in red here, because I could easily open an off-color bomb, or red could turn out not to be open, because we haven't seen very many good red cards in these last pick-up packs. But green's 100% open. We've gotten, what, a 6th pick, 7th pick Predator, and a 7th pick Predator, and then we got a clear shot 8th pick, which is just completely absurd. Or 7th pick. I mean, you know, it's very late, is the point. And for some reason, Magic Online is doing weird curve things, so I have to move my cards around, but that's alright. We'll take a Rage here. I don't want another Artifact Sackle yet. I don't even have any Wellsprings yet. And the Rage can be nice if you're like in a ramp deck that needs finishers or whatever. Or if you're in a deck. I mean, it's nice with the Predators because they produce mana and they can get one card in. So it's kind of a fireball in the late game. It always targets your opponent's face, but that'll do it. I hate Cathodian. I could also actually... Oh, shit. Yeah, I should have taken the Angel. Okay. Ignore everything I just said. I was tunnel visioning. Yeah, the Angel's very, very, very obviously the correct pick. It's very late. We could have been white. Angel's very good with Cosmic Predator. We could have been green-white tokens here. We actually have a decent start for it, even though Naturalist isn't at its best in green-white tokens. But yeah, that's definitely the pick. I don't know why I even thought about doing anything else. Again, I really don't want Intruder. It's just a lot worse than Vandal, and Vandal's a common. This is an uncommon. I could have been green-white tokens, as I'm thinking now, so I'm thinking the Might of the Masses might end up being good. It's less powerful than Intruder, or less powerful than Hexmage and Plunder, but I'm just not looking to be in black here when we're almost 100% green. Very late Gremlins, easy slam. Unfortunately, we don't have anything to trigger it yet, but if we get some Rapacious Dragons or the 4-2, the 4-mana 2-2 that makes a 1-1 with haste, then we could easily start playing it, so... Looking like red and green are the two most stuck colors. Definitely walking in green here. Red, not so much. We'll decide between red and white next pack, or maybe even something else if we open a huge bomb. Like if we open a... I don't know. I mean, it's hard to think of these cards on the spot, but I could take a gander at Mythic Spoiler and give you some of the cards that I would switch colors for. You don't really need that, though. I'm sure you guys know how to switch colors when you open a bomb if you're not that committed to a color. And like I said, we're not very committed to red. We're super committed to green because it's open, but red not so much. There we go. We got a late Rage anyways. I could also see taking the Pillage here. I do really like Heartless Pillage. And it's possible I end up in black, like I said. I think I actually should take the Pillage here, because it's a nice hedge. Or the Rebuke. I think I should take the Pillage here, because it is a nice hedge, and you never know. Sometimes I'll just open a black bomb, and when I end up in black, I'll open like a... There we go, like the green-black 2-2. It's like... See, there you go. We wield the Heartbeat, which might end up in our deck. You never know. Like, we could get the 3 black-green 2-2 flyer, whatever a player sacrifices a permanent, put a counter on all your creatures. And then suddenly we would definitely want to be in black-green, especially with these 2 Predators. And then we're going away with Pillage. So as you can see, I'm putting all my cards off to the side, deciding which color I'm in. I'm pretty much locked into green, but we'll see what else we want to play here. Black has seemed open, at least in terms of signals. So I definitely don't want to roll up black. I'm glad I'm taking these Pillages, because if I end up in black, the Pillages are pretty nice. You do kind of need 2 drops to make them work, and there we go. We just get some light fixing as well. That's very nice. All right, so this deck's looking pretty good. I've got a good green base. Green commons are always just absurd. I mean, when you don't get rares, or when you don't get good rares, or the colors of your rares aren't open, as white has not been very open this draft, you just pick green or red commons and get a deck together. And if those 2 aren't open, then you go into white aggro. But this is almost works. And as you can see, we've got a lot of options. We've got a high power level deck, despite having pretty much exclusively commons in our pile. I think we have 1 Heartbeat of Spring. This is rare land. I guess it's technically a rare, and the Council Judgment, but like these aren't stereotypical rares. They're like bad rares that you don't have dead in, or a rare that's just replaceable because it's a removal spell. Pretty mediocre pack, unfortunately. We could try to go into blue with Inkwell Leviathan, but I just don't want to be in blue at this point. And there are other replaceable picks. I think it's definitely Cosmic Predator and Death Reap Ritual. Basalt Monolith's not bad. That we could try to go into like a Heartbeat of Spring Basalt Monolith like turbo ramp deck, but I don't quite think that's worth it. I could also see taking the Vandal here, but given that we don't even have any artifacts to sack currently, and we do a fixing for the Vandal in case we have it on red-black, I think it's just these 2. Predator's just such a nice card. It's a 2-mana 3/3. It's got Morbid Synergy. It's got Ramp Synergy. It can help turbo if you like miss land drops. It means you don't have to actually hit 5 lands to cast Naturalist. Like you just play it on turn 4 and then sack 1 for Naturalist. And yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, I think it's just the Ritual. It's not great. It's a bit awkward that I already have a bunch of 4-drops as well, but I think it just has to be the Death Reap Ritual, especially with the Graven Carrots for fixing and the Heartless Pillages for splashing. And even though it's bad with Predator in the sense that I already have a bunch of 4-drops, it's good with Predator because Predator easily enables Morbid like every turn unless you draw a bunch of cards off Ritual. I've been impressed by Ritual, especially when you have removal spells, which I kind of do with the Abrades, the Naturalists, and the Clear Shot, so I think Ritual's the correct pick there. It's possible that I should take in the Vandal because the Ritual wheels more than Vandal because people just don't understand how to evaluate the card and typically aren't in green and black, but I think it's the right pick. Okay, interesting pick. No, there's not. There's a Vengevine there that I didn't see because of the art. So we'll pause and talk about it a little bit, but I'm obviously taking Vengevine. It's awkward that it's a 4-drop, but it's actually great with Kozilek's Predator because even though Kozilek's Predator is a 4-drop, it refunds you 2 mana, right? So you can go Predator, store 2 mana, and the turn afterwards after you have a Vengevine in your graveyard, you can like play 2 creatures pretty easily with the extra mana you get and get the Vengevine back. I would also absolutely love both Everflowing Chalice and Whisper, since they're 2-drop ramp spells that help me cheat out my 4-drops into like Naturalists and just help me curve out because without that, it's a little awkward having to wait till turn 4 for one of these and then play Naturalist, and you're just a little behind on board. But if you're doing these on turn 3 and then into turn 4, like the curve of turn 2 Ramp Spell, turn 3 Predator, turn 4 Naturalist is just very hard to beat for most decks. But we obviously have to take advantage right here. The card's just too insane. Guildmage is also good, but I think it's pretty replaceable. Also, we end up in green-white, and green-white just doesn't seem very open, so I think we're pretty off-white here. We're standing between red and black, and being big screen. Leaning towards red here, since I already have some nice 2-drops to help fill out the curve in case I don't get ramp spells, but I don't really have to decide yet. Very lucky to get a Levantine pass to us there, since we didn't open any good rares. So I'll take that and lock in green. Okay, easy Naturalists. I mean, there's also a Predator here, but we've already got 4 of those. We only have 2 Naturalists. We're locking into green. Abrade's is a worse card than Naturalist. It might be better for curve purposes, but given the fact that we're locked into green and Naturalist is a more high power level card, I think we just have to take that. And then now we're just like, we're taking Everflowing Chalices and the 0-2 over pretty much anything, even over more Naturalists, because we just want to get these things out and make sure we don't get too far behind in tempo. And the other thing is that this deck isn't necessarily high value. It can't necessarily win a late game. It is very good in tempo, though. It can win a late game. It's aggressive to mid-range decks, and it can also tempo people out by going Predator and Naturalist for tempo. You can see they're both high tempo minions, right? Or, sorry, creatures, right? There's a 2-mana 3/3, there's a 5-mana 4/4 that kills something. So they're good tempo, and this is decently good value. But the thing is, these usually aren't enough to win the late game on their own against decks that are actually trying to win the late game. So having a 2-drop to help ramp those out and murder my opponent is really nice. And speak of the devil, there's a Whisper of the Wilds, happily slamming it. It's even better than Chalice in this deck because we can easily enable Ferocious with the Naturalist, and then it can help cheat out even bigger things. Very happy with that pick. Hopefully we'll wheel either the Chalice or the Whisper, but I'm not expecting it given that those cards don't typically wheel. Ritual could help us win a late game. Ritual just will solo late games on its own, so that's kind of nice. Although we are a little short on removal unless we're in red. Alright, it's a pretty easy Chromatic Star here. Could also do Yavimai's Embrace and try and ramp into it with the Predator, as you can see, but I think Star's just too good. It'll help me splash if I want to splash the Ritual, which I think I do. It's great with Vandal if I end up in red. It's great with Gremlins if I end up in red. I could also take the 3 Inspector like I'm highlighting in case I want to be in like green-white creatures, but it's just a little awkward on the curve, right? You go 3 Inspector into sack the clue, and then what do I don't really have a 3-drop. I'd rather play 2-drop to ramp out my Predators or whatever. And Star just, it's a nice curve filler. It helps you splash. It's great with Vandal. It just does everything I want it to. I'm not passing a Star here. So right now I can pretty safely say I'm not going to play white. I'll pretty looking to play red because I've gotten some late red cards. I just haven't been able to pick them because the green cards have been too much better. But we don't have to lock it in yet. I'm almost certainly splashing the Ritual. It's just too nice here. 2-drop ramp, so another Star. I would also love a Skull Muncher here, or not love it, but it would be good because it could actually win me a late game with the Predators. The issue is like, it's good, don't get me wrong. Going Predator into Skull Muncher is very good. You're playing a 4-mana 3/3 into a 5-mana 5/5 that draws 2 cards. Like that's very, very good exchange. But it's not that much better than sacking the Predators for mana, and the issue is when you draw Skull Muncher without drawing Predator, the card's just dead. It's just literally dead in my deck. And Star is just looking very good since I already have a Gremlins and a Vandal, and I already want to splash this Ritual, so I think I'm just taking the Star and looking to be in red at this point. I think it's the only real decision. Oh shit. And we get a very late Whisper, and we happily slam it. There's also a Falconwrath Aristocrat, which we could have considered taking if we want to be in red-black. And the card is very powerful, especially with the Predators, since it gives you a bunch of creatures to sack. I think I should have thought about it more than I did, but I think ultimately the Whisperer is still the correct pick. But I definitely should have thought about it more because Aristocrat just wins games on its own, right? It's a 5-turn clock on its own that can't really be killed by anything. It can't really be blocked since there's not that many flyers that have more than 5 or more than 4 toughness. And we have a bunch of free sack outlets with the Predator. It's a very, very good card. The only downside is that it's slightly hard to cast, but given the fact that we already want to be both red and black, or at least splashing black, and the fact that we have a Graven Cairns and 2 stars, I should have at least thought about it. And it might even be correct. Like, hell. I don't think it was because the 2-mana ramp is just too insane going with the curve of Whisperer into a 4-drop into Naturalist, but it was worth thinking about, I think. At least more than I did. Pretty easy puzzle out here. I could also take Reunion, but I'm just off Reunion. The card's just awkward. I've talked about it in former videos, I believe. If you want to hear more about it, you can check out my stream. I guess this is a good time to plug my stream. I stream on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays with occasional extra days if I'm doing tournaments or I'm just feeling like it. Link in the description, so come check me out and give me a follow if you like the content and you want to see more. So anyways, back to this draft. The puzzle on it since I don't like Reunion. Feel free to ask my stream if you don't like that. Easy Vandal here. The Steed could be nice because it triggers the Gremlins and makes more fodder for my first Vandal, but I think the second Vandal is just too important. And in addition, we already have a bunch of 4-drops we also have a bunch of 4-drops, so we don't really want more 4-drops here. And it also makes the puzzle on it might be playable, but we'll see. We don't have to play anything yet. So yeah, I'm pretty locked into red-green, splashing black at this point, but should happen. You never know for sure. Skip that a little bit. Or not. Shit. Yeah, we hold the Chalice. I think this was the pack with the Chalice and Whisper in it. Very happy about a Chalice. Again, I'm highlighting Steed because it looks okay, but I'm just not passing Chalice here. But you can sack into Vandal, it triggers Gremlins, it can ramp you into 4-drops really easily. I'm very happy now. So I'm very happy. I'd like some late game and some more like glue, if that makes any sense, like Wellsprings for the Vandals or more Star, stuff like that. And then I'd like some more late game threats since I now have the ramp and the curve to live, and I'd like to be able to win a late game without having to tempo my opponent out. Since if you don't draw a ramp spell, it's possible that you can't tempo your opponent out. Like, these cards are great and all, but if you're just casting them on curve and your opponent's, like I said, I think I said this earlier, but if your opponent's just trying to win a late game, these aren't going to save you on their own. The Ritual might, but these aren't. I'll take the Intruder or the Battle Rage here. They're both fine. It doesn't really matter. The Intruder could be playable if I get a bunch of Wellsprings and I want a third sack outlet for some reason, but it seems unlikely. The TBR is also very unlikely that I play here. Alright, Bosch is exactly what I'm looking for. It's great to ramp him to his Predator. It'll just literally murder my opponent because I'm already kind of aggressive. It's unfortunate I don't really have any other artifacts to sack, but, I mean, it's just a 6-7 that I can sack to deal, like, damage to anything, primarily my opponent's face. And then I think I can take a Fierce Empath to tutor for it, so I'm pretty sure those are the two correct picks now that I got the Bosch. It's a little awkward that I only have one card to tutor for with the Empath, but I'm sure I'll pick up, at a minimum, I'll pick up an Elvish Aberration in this pack. It could also sneak in Rage Reflections, as like I said, we're kind of mid-rangey here, but we don't really have that much stuff we want to give Double Strike. A lot of our creatures are ramp creatures. All we really have is the Naturalists and kind of the Predators, but the Predators aren't great either. I think it's Empath and Bosch pretty easily, but I actually don't remember what I take here. I might actually take the Empath, which is quite loose, but it's possible that's what I do. Definitely taking the Bosch. And I think I should take the Empath here, but we'll see what I actually do. Yeah, I think it's definitely the Empath with the Predators to help ramp it out too, right? It's a bit awkward that you can't go Ramp Spell into Predator, or you can go Ramp Spell into Predator into, like, Empath, and then the turn afterwards you should have 6 mana to cast Bosch. So I should definitely take the Empath here, but I could see a slight argument for the Rage Reflection, which, nah, I really can't. That was just a bad pick, so sorry guys, sorry for the bad pick. It's okay, we're gonna get a Fierce Empath here anyways, although I would kind of like to take the Spell Bomb, but Spell Bomb is replaceable because I have Vandals for Shock, so you don't want too many Shock effects or they might just be dead, and then you're just paying 2 mana cycle, which is not where I want to be. So I get an Empath anyways, but 2 is still good as long as I get enough stuff to tutor for. I think it still should have been the Empath last pick, but not look like we're gonna get punished too hard by our mispick last pick. Take an Empath, not much else in the pack to even talk about. Iron Storm has potential in the right deck, but you need to get it pack 1 if you're going to try and force it. We don't have anything to do with it this right now. Ash Barons would be great for some fixing for the Ritual, but I just can't pass Naturalists. You just can't pass this card. I just can't. Like, it's just too insane. Like, having 4, you really can't get enough of these. Like, I think more than 5 might be too many, but even then, in some matchups, it's still just actually insane. And worst case, it's just a 5-mana 4/4, which does kind of suck, but as long as you're ramping into it, as long as it kills something, which it almost always does, you're pretty happy. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. As you can see, I don't even think about it, just happily slamming this. It's unfortunate I can't tutor for with Empath, and Sandstorm Oracle might be good as well to try and beat the control decks, but I mean, I'm not passing Savage-Born Hider of the card, just murders people. If they don't kill it, it basically becomes the Abyss pretty quickly. The fact that you can pump it once they're already on board. And I also like the fact that you can play it on turn 3 as a 1/1, and then the first turn you don't have something else nice to play, you can make it into like a 4/4 Double Striker, and suddenly it's a real threat that also can attack the turn you pump it. So yeah, that card's been very impressive for me. I almost always play it, and I'm always very happy with it. I'm also happy to splash it, and then we get a Brutaclad. I would also love an Aberration, but given that we have the Empath to tutor for it, we've got 2 Chromatic Stars to fix our mana. I just have to take Brutaclad here. It's definitely either Brutaclad or the Aberration, so I want another 6-drop or higher to tutor for the Empath. But with the 3 Predators, the ability to splash, and the fact that this card's super powerful, I think I just have to take it. So here I'm getting really, really punished for not taking the second Empath. The second Empath here would just be completely insane to tutor for both of my bomb, quote-unquote bomb, 6-drops. Brutaclad's a real bomb. Bosch is a very good card, and it does just randomly win games, but if your opponent's at 20 and they're like, I'm bored, it's not gonna save you like Brutaclad might. I think I should have taken Russian Knowledge here. I think this was a mispick. I think I should have taken Russian Knowledge, not to main deck. I'm gonna go back a little bit. I've never played an Expedition map. I don't want to pay 3 mana to tutor for a land, no matter how much I need fixing. I just don't want to do that. It's worse than Star by like so much. Stars are so much cheaper. You can sack into Vandals if you need to. It doesn't cost as much mana. It's just a lot better. And Russian Knowledge could actually be good in the sideboard because I have all these Naturalists and Predators that are already high CMC for low opportunity cost, and then they could be card draw. So versus a more controlling deck, I think Russian Knowledge could be really, really good. So I think this is a pretty significant mispick, but it's all right. Another Star I'm very happy with. Chalice is, this is a really tough pick. There's also a Chalice, which is insane, although I already have 3 2-up ramp spells and a bunch of other 2-ups, so I don't think it's the Chalice here. Like I was talking about it earlier, I still think Chalice is really good, but given that we only have 5 4-drops, I was expecting us to have more by the end of the draft in the last pack because we already had 5, we just haven't gotten any of this pack. And also, given the fact that we're splashing both Ritual and Brutaclad, I assume, I think it's just got to be the Star here. Will and Champ is also very good with Predator, but again, already have a bunch of 2-drops. I'm just more concerned about consistency and being able to cast my spells. And Star just does that much better. It's also just great with Vandals. Like, I want to play these Vandals, and I don't currently have much to sack to them. All I have is the 2 stars and the Puzzle Knot, and maybe the Brutaclad tokens. So having another star helps a lot, too. I still might only play 1 Vandal, but I think I'll probably play 2 now that I've got the 3rd star. This deck looks nice. Again, I really wish I had another empath. If I had another empath, I could like maybe even cut the ritual and then only splash the Brutaclad with these stars and an island or whatever, and just like consistently ramp out a big bomb and then just hold them off with the naturalists and get value and outvalue them, as well as out tempoing them if I need to with the predator or whatever, the predator curve. So it was a slight mistake and getting punished, but it's alright. Nothing playable here. I'm not going to go into it too much. I guess I'll take a Citadel. I don't know. These cards are all bad except for 3-Body Spectre, and we're certainly not playing any sort of white, so it doesn't really matter what I pick. Probably get Rage Reflection here. I just don't think I need it. I think these three are enough on their own in the Naturalist. It's nice to give Naturalist Double Strike. I might board it in, but it's just too inconsistent. Like, my deck is pretty consistent. Making it inconsistent for such a low upside just does not seem worth it at all. Nothing here. I think I'll end up taking the Colon Dice in case I like face a deck that has a bunch of removal spells, and it also has some basic synergy with my deck just to be able to sack Predators, the Eldrazi Spawns, and the Empath. But again, I prefer not to think of the Predators as tokens, but rather as like mana storage, similar to Basalt Monolith or whatever, because if you're treating the ones as things to sack, then you're not really paying for a very good rate for the Predator. Like, you're paying 4 mana for a 3/3 that makes 2 tokens, which is good, but really not where you want to be, and not as much power. Doesn't have as much potential as it does with the making mana. So I probably wanted to make the Chalice, but I think it's definitely the correct pick. And it could be worth sideboarding in if I'm playing a deck with a bunch of removal spells that can try and outgrind me in the late game. Okay, so we're done. So yeah, what I think I would do here is I cut the Puzzle since it's just a little awkward. I cut the dice. I would think about cutting the Ritual, but probably wouldn't. I would definitely cut the Expedition Map. I think I just don't need it. It's not worth it. I definitely cut the Rage Reflection, and then... yeah, I think I cut those 4. I cut Map, Puzzle Dice, and Rage Reflection, and then play 17. I think he's definitely 17 lander, but it's because we do have some mana sinks in the Savage-born Hydra and kind of the Bosch. We've got stars, which are kind of nice in that they cycle, which will let you play a lower land count. But the thing is, they only let you play a lower land count if you're able to cycle them early, and I want to save them. I want to be able to save them to splash my Brutaclad or my Ritual, and I want to be able to sack them to Vandal, which I might not have early. So I think he's a pretty easy 70 lander. It's going to take me a while, so I'm going to skip ahead a little bit, but I'm pretty sure I'm just going to make the correct pick and cut these two in the Rage Reflection. Oh, too far. Do I leave the coin dice in, or do I cut it? Let's see. Oh, I cut a Vandal. Ooh, cutting Vandal seems pretty loose. I do not like cutting the Vandal here. Yeah, the die is awkward. I should not have cut the dice. Yeah, unfortunately, it's hard to see the deck list before this comes up, but I'm trying to move it, but I can't. I'm watching the video. So we'll just go back and look at it here before. There we go. So, yeah, I think I should have played the second Vandal and cut the dice. I just don't think the dice is going to be doing what I want it to here. I think these are enough on their own to win the game. It's just going to be an awkward card, whereas Vandal's great. It actively lets me convert these stars into card advantage. I imagine that my thought process was I would rather use these stars to fix my mana than do shocks, but I just don't think this card's cuttable. Yeah, maybe it was. I mean, the only really things I have to sack are these 3 stars, which I do want for other things, and the Brutaclad. The Brutaclad can also sack the Brutaclad tokens. Maybe this was correct. I just don't like the coin dice here. Maybe I should cut the coin dice for like a Sylvan Might or something else. Or maybe it's just fine. Yeah, maybe this is just fine. The second Vandal is a bit awkward. Yeah, no, this seems fine, actually. Okay, and I think the first match was the one I wanted to watch, so we'll do the first match, and then I'm going to head off after this. Again, feedback appreciated. If you like the gameplay and me commenting on it, let me know. If you want me to do more drafts, I could like try and group the drafts into clumps where I like talk about a draft strategy, and then I do multiple drafts with no gameplay. I could do like 2 drafts. I could combine on two separate drafts of my own, and not do any gameplay. So if you'd like that, or you'd like something else, just let me know. I mean, I always want feedback. I know I always say it, and no one ever lets me know. But if you feel strongly about something, please feel free and feel encouraged to let me know. And if you don't care, well, then I guess don't do that. All right, so not a great hand because we can't cast a lot of our spells, but I can't mulligan it. I mean, I've got a 2 of ramp spell. I've got naturalists. Almost all my draws are good. If I draw a star, I can start catching these things and just murdering my opponent. If I draw that card, I can ramp up my predator or my naturalist, and I just can't mulligan this hand. Alright, it's a bit scary. They could cast some very annoying things very early here and just murder me with that. Alright, well, land's a great draw, so now we can go Predator into Naturalist. If they do something scary off that, we can hopefully Naturalist it, and if not, we can just Naturalist the Prisms, not be scared. We could also do a Chalice for 2, which I don't hate, but I don't think is quite worth it, right? Because next turn we have 6 mana, which isn't really enough to do anything. Yeah, this seemed pretty loose. I don't know. Next turn, what are we doing is the issue. If I draw a mountain or a swamp, it's actually great because then I can go Predator plus sack a thing to play the ritual and then draw a card. So that's pretty good, but it just doesn't account for the fact that they could play stuff that I need to kill off the Naturalists, and I just don't think it was quite worth it. So I'll probably go Naturalist here just to murder the Prism so they can't make a bunch of mana off it with the Core Tapper and hope to strand their Core Tapper and have it be dead. I could also see saving it. I think if I draw a mountain or a swamp, I might go for the Predator Ritual line. But yeah, I don't know about the Chalice play last turn. I kind of want to just go Predator, and the next turn I have the ability to do a Naturalist. Okay, well that needs to die, so I guess we're calling that instead. Yeah, that just needs to die. The card, you cannot let your opponent on top with that card, especially when they have a Prism and a map and a bunch of other stuff in play. They could easily just play Wellspring there, and then it's just insane. You just can't let your opponent attack with Thopter Foundry. Yeah, the weird thing about Thopter Foundry is if you put it could be great bait, right? Because your opponent doesn't know that it's bad in your deck, but your card is usually either horrible in your deck or great in your deck. But yeah, as an opponent, I don't know which one of those two it is. So I'm very incentivized to kill it while they're tapped out and they don't even get a free one. Okay, so they're looking for some fixing here probably. Yep, you get an island. Not too scary here. The Core Tapper plus the Pendant Prism is a lot of mana and could ramp out something nasty. The Mirror Trigger is pretty nasty actually. You get back the Thopter Foundry, so we're gonna have to find a way to beat that. Hopefully we can just cast the Ritual here, which should bridge the gap between our cards, between our these things. That works too. So the question is, can we do Predator plus Ritual? And I think we have enough mana to, because that makes 2. So yeah, we definitely do. Although unfortunately we have to sack both of our 0/1s, which I would prefer not to do. So hopefully we'll find a land off the star, so we're able to only sack 1. The other issue with this is I'd like to save the star for the Brutaclad, so I might even just pass here, because if I go Brutaclad the turn afterwards, then I can just, yeah, like if I just go Brutaclad the turn afterwards, I can take Eternally Spawns into 2/1s and just attack with my opponent. I decided not to attack with the Naturalist there, because I didn't really want them to chump with the Retriever and get back the Thopter Foundry, and just play it this turn, and then turn into a bunch of value, but I think, in hindsight, that might have been a little too conservative, given they don't really have anything to want to sack. Like, if they had a Sword of the Meek, or, I mean, obviously if they had a Sword of the Meek, I wouldn't do that, but if they had, like, a Wellspring or a Star on the battlefield, maybe it was worth it not to attack, but with nothing that they actively want to sack, like, the Prism and the Core Tapper are doing work together to generate mana, so I think I should have just gone for the attack there. Okay, so they play Tunnel Magnet Pass, that does literally nothing, I don't give a shit at all. I draw a nice removal spell. Where did my mouse go? Bro, where's my mouse? This is not good for recording videos. Did I, like, accidentally do the thing? Okay, there it is. Wait. No, where is it? Oh, well, the video is playing, so I guess it's fine, but I'd like to find my mouse. Okay, there we go. Alright, I haven't taken difficulties, but we're back. So I sacked this for an island to make the Brutaclad. I could have technically played Naturalist this turn, but I think I want to save it to murder the Thopter Foundry once they replay it, because I'm still just very scared of that card. I think it's pretty easy Brutaclad to turn all these 0/1s into 2/1s and just murder my opponent. And if they don't kill the Bosch, then I can just 18 them, or 14 them by attacking with the Brutaclad and the Bosch the turn afterwards. So that means Bosch would be a very good threat as well. And this is where Bosch is good. I know it doesn't look very good, but it just does work. Actually, I think I may be able to do both. I think I might make a mistake here because I should have I think I should have turned these spawns into 2/1 trying to murder them. I'm going for a value play here, which is okay, but I think it would have been a little better just to tackle everyone. Like, what do? They can trade a Retriever off for a 2/1 and then take 11 damage at a 9, and then, like, who gives a shit about the Thopter Foundry? They're so low. Or I could draw some cards. And drawing cards just doesn't seem to compare to that. I think this line is pretty loose. I guess they could have tapped one of my 4/4, my 4/4 with Tunnel Magnet, and then they would have only taken 7 damage, but that's still a lot of damage, and it's still a good exchange for me, so I think I should have kept those 0/1s. That was my bad. It's alright, though. It's still a solid line, and getting the Ritual down is going to be good. Next turn we can go Bosch, and the turn afterwards we should have enough damage that we can kill them as long as they don't kill my Bosch. I mean, we only have to do 6 damage, right? And then we've got 14 off sacking the Brutaclad and then sacking the Bosch. And like I said, this is where Bosch is just a very nice card. Okay, so they tap mana 4/4, scared to be attacking with both. Then we Ritual. They'll probably put a counter on their Pet Prism to look for some mana. They could put a counter on the Tunnel Magnet, but they don't really need to. It's still got 2 counters left. We'll definitely draw a card. And then it's their turn. So we're still looking very good here, but I think that was definitely a misplay this last turn. It's close, though. Getting the Ritual down is quite nice. It was very scary. I might need to Naturalist that. Alright, because they've got a lot of counters off the Core Tapper and whatever. Espresso is kind of scary because they can bounce the Prism and then replay it for counters. So I'll probably just kill the Ironstorm here. If I don't, they can just use it to murder my Brutaclad and whatever. So I definitely need to kill the Ironstorm here. Espresso is not that scary on its own. It's always scary because it adds more charge counters, which is scary because of the Ironstorm. And they can only shock once your max by sacking the Core Tapper to put 2 charge counters on the Prism, so we're not scared. I think they should have just killed my Brutaclad there. I think they could have if they'd sacked the Core Tapper. Yeah, they definitely had enough mana. They could have sacked the Core Tapper and put a counter on the Prism, and then remove 2, plus tap 2 mana, and then remove 2 counters from the Tunnel Magnet to kill my Brutaclad, which would have given them a better chance, I think. It'd still been a pretty bad spot to my Bosch and my Conclave Naturalists and my Ritual, but I think that would have given them a better chance. They could have done it on their own end step as well, so the Death Reap Ritual wouldn't have even have triggered. So slight mistake from them, but it's alright. I mean, it's a hard line to spot, to be fair. So yeah, we definitely just murdered the time storm. We had the chance, and then we should get in with everyone. Like, what are they going to do? They could tap one over 4/4s. I guess it's a little awkward to attack with the mirror, but I probably still will, just because if it dies, I get to draw a card, and I do want to draw more cards. And I also want to get them low enough that the Bosch will kill them with the Brutal Clad plus the other thing. I guess something awkward is if they tap my Conclave Naturals. I don't really want to attack with the Brutal Clad because I don't really want to trade with the Asperzoa. So maybe the attacks are just bad. Yeah, maybe I just go to get in with a 3/3 and 2/1/1s and 2/2/1s, and they just tap the wrong creature there. There's just really no reason for them to tap that as opposed to tapping my Naturalist. Tapping my Naturalist is just infinitely better there. So my opponent's probably just not playing very well. I don't know. I don't want to insult them, but they have not made great plays here. And yeah, like I said, I think I want to attack with the Mercier. It's extra damage. It guarantees, almost guarantees card draw off their Ritual. I said not to, but it's alright. Like I said, I'm not I'm not playing either. I'm not playing great either, so I definitely shouldn't be insulting my opponent. A chump as predicted. Get back to Foundry, we'll get to draw a card. Still working out well, but I think I did definitely attack with the mirrors. Like, they eat 1 and they take 5, and then suddenly the Bosch is 1 away from lethal, right? It's 14 sacking the Brutal Clad and the Bosch itself. Play Painsmith, we don't care. Play Hell Magnet, we don't really care. It's a little scary, actually. There's a lot of damage, right? It is actually a little scary. I'm kind of afraid of dying, so this is why I should have been more aggressive, I think. Because this is 8 damage here, right? They're going to play the Thopter Foundry and hit me for 8 with the Asperzoa. And the next turn with the Painsmith, it's actually quite a bit of damage. And we can't kill them next turn. We can definitely kill them the turn afterwards if they don't kill our Bosch, but we definitely can't kill them this turn because they can sack they sack some things to the Foundry to gain some life and make some Trumpers. And the next turn, they might be able to kill us, to be honest. It's 8 here. There's a lot of damage. So yeah, I mean, we didn't play particularly well, and we're kind of getting punished for it. We've had several turns where we could have been more aggressive. We took more conservative, slower lines that we didn't really need to, given that we could absolutely lose to our opponent being aggressive. Attack us rate, we make a 2/1, attack with everyone, they tap our 4/4. It's fair enough. I think we're still going to win this game since it seems very hard for them to kill us here, but it's certainly possible, and we could have been a little slower. I think I also should have left more creatures up to block. Like, why am I attacking them so much here? If not even really lethal, like, they can just take all this damage, right? They can make a 1 chumper, or they don't even have to make a chumper. They can just sack the Pennant Prism, make a 1/1, go up to 18, and just take all this damage and go to 1. And then, like, what happens if they kill my Bosch? What happens if they play, like, an Executioner's Capsule next turn? Or whatever. Like, there's sequences of cards they can use to kill us this turn because we've just not been playing this well. So I guess at least it's a lesson for you guys to play better. But hopefully we'll get punished. It would need to be a pretty special sequence of events for them not to die to the Bosch the turn afterwards. I think just killing the Bosch wouldn't be enough because we made this big attack, so we should still be fine. Play the Bosch, pass turn, they bounce Tunnel Magnet after. Oh, they get a tap 2 off of the Tunnel Magnet. So yeah, they just find like an extra use capsule. We're literally dead, right? Tunnel Magnet triggers once, a capsule triggers once. I guess there's still 1 off. Or actually, there's still 3 off. Okay, never mind. Everything's fine. But there is a sequence. There's like card. Nah, I'm just running out of sequence. I don't know. It's closer than it should be. We'll put it that way. There may or may not be a sequence. I don't really want to take the time and the thought to think about it, but there may or may not be a sequence where it caused me to lose this game. And I could have been more aggressive, and I could have also been more conservative in these turns. I was too aggressive these turns and too conservative in the early game, which is not the right combination. Trust me. So they're thinking a lot. They're pretty dead. Okay, they just concede. We don't sideboard because their deck's perfect. It's not, but should have brought in the Vandal here, I think. They showed us a decent amount of cards that we want to kill with Vandal. We should have brought in the Vandal and probably cut the Dias, because they also didn't show us much removal spells. So yeah, that was probably the line. Very happy to keep this. I'm on the draw. If I draw a single land for the Whisperer, we're in decent shape, because we can just cast a Hydra and start pumping it. The issue is that I do want to keep the Star Rhine to stack with the Vandal, but I can't do that. I think I would keep this, but it is really close. I've got 3 draws for the first land, but even if I only find 1 land, it's not quite enough. My hand's really awkward. If this Empath could go get an Aberration to go get another land, I might keep it. I think this is a mulligan, but it's very, very close. I mean, I wouldn't fault past me for keeping this if they want to. Actually, I'm thinking about it quite a bit. I said to mulligan, I get a decent hand, looks like. Actually, a great hand. This is a little awkward on the mana, but going Whisper into Predator into Naturalist is about the best curve you can get, so in this deck, so I'm happy with it. Yeah, pretty easy bottom of Vandal there and keep this hand. Pretty happy with this. Pretty easy keep. Oh, shit. I didn't even notice this in the match, but our opponent is playing 48 cards in their deck, so yeah, our opponent's just not the brightest. I don't like insulting my opponents. I kind of do. That's not the correct phrase. I don't want to be an asshole who insults his opponents, but I do kind of enjoy it because I am an asshole. Anyways, enough about that. Yeah, pretty great curve. Whisperer and a Predator and a Naturalist and hope to murder them. If we draw all lands, we might get outgrinded, but it seems unlikely at this point. If we draw anything, like if we draw another Naturalist, we should be able to have 10 of them. If we draw pretty much anything that's a spell here, like that should be enough, right? I think on turn, in fact, we can even go Predator into Predator plus Naturalist, I believe, right? Yeah, we go Predator this turn, Predator the turn afterwards, and then we have 4 Predators plus a Whisperer that's untapped, so, or 4 tokens plus a Whisperer that's untapped, and that's 5 mana. So that's just a great curve, right? Like, a turn, and this is what I'm talking about. This is why 2-mana ramp is so important. And this is why the green commons are so good. Like, you just do this, and you just aggro your opponent out. Like, you need uncommons and rares to be able to outgrind your opponents, but with commons, you can still just do green tempo things like this. Imagine if I had a Bloodbriar as well. It'd be a little awkward to get through Bloodbriar down, so it wouldn't make it as fast, but I could, like, take a turn off the naturals to play Bloodbriar, right? I could go, like, Predator this turn Predator this turn into Bloodbriar plus Predator the turn afterwards. I get a bunch of counters. But that's a little off topic. So this game's pretty over. So yeah, we do what I said. We cast the Predator, we enjoy the naturalist for the turn afterwards, and then we sack both of them to play the Predator, and this game's just over. Like, we're just so far ahead in tempo. Yeah, like, this is turn 4. This is turn 4. I have 10 power in play, my opponent has nothing, because I was able to conk 5 naturals to kill their only threat. It's just disgusting. And in hindsight, I think it's possible I should have killed the Tall Magnet, because the Espresso is such bad, it has to bounce itself then, so I think in hindsight, this is actually a pretty bad play. But I was just too excited about this, and it's fine. It's a little scary to not kill the Espresso, but given that I have the naturals, I think it's pretty free to kill it, or to kill it to make it bounce itself. And the turn afterwards, if they play it like plus a Wellspring that I wanna not let them bounce, then I can just naturalists. So yeah, it wasn't a particularly skill intensive match, but I think it was a good example of why green commons are good, especially that last game. But even game 1 was pretty good as well. All right, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Leave a comment as well if you have some feedback. Check out my Twitch channel and my Twitter. Links in the description. And I will see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching.